Hi guys, it's Monday and it's the second Monday of the month or whatever. It's newsletter day, that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm here and I'm just going to be sharing with you today my thoughts and feelings as a personally, and also as a professional, on something that I'm asked quite a lot, which is pretty much, what about bread? And the reason why I want to discuss this is a fortnight ago when I was talking about breakfast and the importance of breakfast and good options for breakfast, it occurred to me after that I never talked about bread. And it was like, what about bread, Bridge? Like, hello, where does that fit into the equation? Toast is something quite common that people have for breakfast, and I felt that I kind of did you guys a disservice in not addressing that and talking about it. So because of that, and also because it's a question I get asked quite commonly, and because there's an amazing revolution going on with all these different bread recipes flying around, I wanted to really talk about that today. So to answer the question, what about bread? How does it fit into a healthy lifestyle? How does it fit into even a weight loss plan, or for someone with insulin resistance or diabetes who is concerned about sugar? How does it all fit in? So my answer or my views on this topic pretty much go like this. I love bread. I've always been, I guess, more of a carb fan, a carb addict. I loved nothing more than hot, crusty, white bread, fresh from the bakery, with some jam or some Vegemite. It's yum. It's one of those joys, I feel anyway, of life, and something that I've definitely always enjoyed. Also, I love a good sourdough bread. I absolutely adore it. Or a good heavy soy and linseed bread, for example. So when I'm giving advice on bread, basically I go back to one of my fundamental philosophies that I teach all my clients, which is good, better, best. There's always going to be a good option, which is a good version perhaps of a naughty food or a junk food. Okay, so there's always going to be a good option, then there's always going to be a better option, and there's going to be a best. Now those options are also going to vary according to who you are as a person, because who you are as a person changes the whole metabolic equation. There is no one size fits all, so what will suit one person and be good for one person won't suit another person or be good for another person. A classic example of that, totally off the bread topic though, is coconut. I love coconut. I eat a whole coconut and drink a whole coconut every single day. The water out of the coconut, and I eat the meat. I digest that really well. My body responds really well to that. There are people though that don't respond so well to that and don't just digest it so well. They feel bloated afterwards, quite heavy. The body doesn't do it very well. So at the end of the day, it's so important, guys, that you learn to listen to your bodies and trust the way your body responds to certain foods. I'll also add that in my experience, professionally and personally, it depends on sometimes the state of mind we're in, or the vibe that we're in as to how we digest certain foods. For example, if I'm quite stressed, run down, and life's a little bit on top of me, I do find that I'm more sensitive to certain foods. My metabolism's more sluggish, and I don't do well with things that I can have easily when I'm happy and joyous, in my power, out in the world doing things that I love. When I'm in that state, I metabolize pretty much anything I put into my system. So I find that with a lot of my clients, it's exactly the same deal. When they're stressed, when they're feeling run down, when they're feeling like everything is on top of them, they react and don't do very well with certain foods. And by the same token, when they're totally happy and joyous, maybe when they're on holiday or they're celebrating or something's just going so well in their life, food is like a non-issue. They just take it in and digest it well, and they feel good, and it doesn't have a negative impact on them at all. So back to the bread and the good, better, best kind of concept. What I would suggest to you guys is highly processed food, no matter what it is not an ideal option for anyone, really. It's to me never really going to fit into that classification of even good. And of course that depends, because again, it depends on the person and what's going on in someone's life. And for example, just off the top of my head, for a child in a third world country, white bread is going to feed that child, and it's going to nourish it more than not having the bread. So that's why there aren't any absolutes. But for us, every day here in the Western society, here in Australia or in the US or wherever you're joining me from, I find that highly processed anything is not a good option. So that's why I would say your general run-of-the-mill white bread, like your Tip Top, or I don't think they even have Buttercup anymore. I'm probably showing my age. I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. It's highly processed. It's the body doesn't have to do much at all to digest it, which means the carbohydrates in the bread are broken down into sugars quite quickly, and it's really not nourishing or offering you any sustenance of any kind. In fact, I'd be inclined to say it's more stripping nourishment and minerals from you to digest it. So it's definitely not what I'd recommend. So what do I recommend? I recommend a good quality, heavy grain, more old school type processed bread. If you're going to go for your supermarket stuff, you've got your Helgas and you've got your Bergen. Love the soy and linseed. I love the fact that they've got more healthy fats. They've got a high protein content in them. I think they're really good. Don't go for a very light, just a few grains, multi-grain breads. Most of the ones you get from bakeries are just white loaves with a few grains chucked in. So they're not what I'd recommend. I recommend more of something based on a wholemeal flour. Stone ground is even better. If you're going to go for a sourdough, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, love sourdough, just make sure it's a traditional sourdough, that it's actually a sourdough, that it's been prepared the way a traditional sourdough is prepared. And that is a healthful food when eaten in the right quantities for the right person with the right toppings and everything else. I also love, just as an aside, I love pumpkinicle bread, your little solid loaves, and dark rye. They're also amazing and been eaten for centuries and quite healthful. But other than that, these days there are these awesome innovators out there who are into their health, they're into their cooking, and they're making all sorts of breads. You saw a few weeks ago I included a zucchini bread recipe. I can post the link to that again for you if you like. And today I'm sharing with you a cashew nut bread. So these days we are getting very innovative. We're creating breads based on coconut flours, nut flours. They're dairy-free, gluten-free, everything free, vegan, everything. So there is a bread out there for every single person, meaning that you can guilt-free enjoy some toast or bread, warm bread for breakfast. Might even only take 5-10 minutes to throw together. And you can have that, as I said, for a breakfast, lunch, if you want to, dinner. Because they're high protein, they have essential fats in them, and they're high fiber and based on really good quality ingredients. So again, as with everything, it comes down to ask the question, what am I actually eating? What is in this bread? Break it down into what the ingredients are and think, is this nourishing? Is this something that's going to give to my body? Is it going to deliver some nutrients and some minerals and some vitamins? Or is it actually going to require that from me, some minerals and vitamins to digest it? And as I strongly believe, the less processed the better, and the closer to its original natural form the better. So have fun experimenting with these lovely, the cashew nut bread recipe, the zucchini bread recipe. I'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts on it, and get Googling. I know I've read something before where someone said just Google it, but Google these amazing bread recipes and I'm sure you'll have loads of fun, guys. Look forward to connecting with you again in a fortnight. Have a fabulous day. Bye.